What's up, everybody? Welcome to BioS3 Raw TV. Well, tonight is a very personal video, and this one might be a little bit long, but it is a very personal video that I think I should make about myself that I think some people out there right now are going to need. And I think actually everybody all the time is going to need, because there's different people at different stages of their life, and there's always going to be a person at this stage that I'm going to talk about now that is going to need help, or going to need some identifying, etc., stuff like that. So where do I even begin? So the title, How I Lost Myself. I think that social media in general, what you guys have seen for the last, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, I mean, it's me, it was me, but it was a me that wasn't fully me. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean that right now you're getting the actual Jerry, the human being, and not Jerry, the bodybuilder. They are one and the same, but they're actually two different people. And I'm going to explain. So by not shaving my head anymore and growing my beard actually long, which my long beard is something fairly new in the last couple of years, but by growing my hair long, people have really getting taken back. Like, Jerry, what the fuck? I've asked if I got hair transplants, all this other shit, and I'm like, no, I didn't get hair transplants. Why did you shave your head? Well, there's a reason why my hair was always short for a long period of time, even shaved. I'm going to go through all that shit right now. As a matter of fact, right now, a lot of people are like, why are you slicking it back? It's actually not slicked back. It's actually a ponytail on the back of my fucking head, because it's not long enough to get the back in the end, but it's so long in the front, it just kind of hangs down and gets all messy and shit. So I slick it back and pull it the top back, which is a look that I had when I got out of college, based on the movie The Program. There's a guy named Latimer that had his hair pulled back like this. And that was the first time I'd really seen it. I was like, that's pretty fucking cool. So while my hair's in an in-between growing stage, that's what I do. I pull it back on the top, and when it's long enough to get pulled back on the bottom, I pull it up, which means that I've had this hairstyle before. It's part of my past, which is coming back to my present, okay? Now, the reason why I'm going with the whole hair thing is, it's not just the hair. They'd be like, Jerry, you have earrings again. Yes, I have earrings again. Well, why? Why the fuck are you 40-something years old? Doesn't fucking matter. Doesn't matter how old you are, as long as you feel like you and you're happy with you, doesn't matter what the fuck you do. But there has been a distinct change in me, because after I stopped competing and actually really stopped focusing all on the getting bigger, getting leaner, on just focusing so much on the competition thing and living like a bodybuilder, I realized that I had actually fucking lost myself. Like, there was a part of me that, I didn't play guitar anymore. I didn't do anything that I used to do. I was the biggest Metallica fan. I'd listen to Metallica here and there, but, honestly, it was like I just was so focused on bodybuilding that I became Jerry the bodybuilder, identified with being Jerry the bodybuilder only, and Jerry Ward the person, the human being, just kind of faded away, and all there was this bodybuilder. A couple of years ago, I bought the Gibson Explorer, which is the guitar that James Hetfield used to play, or still plays, which I've always wanted one. I bought one, and everybody was like, why the fuck? Remember, my ex-girlfriend was like, why are you buying a guitar? I'm like, because I haven't played in years. I stopped playing the guitar. I played in bands, but let's just start at the beginning. So, when I was born kind of a, normal-looking kid. I was a little bit chubby when I was first born, but as I started to grow up a little bit, my hair was kind of a little bit light. It was kind of light brown, stuff like that. My eyes were kind of a bluish color when I was born. They turned to kind of a strange colored bluish green. Eventually they wound up being the green color that they are now. They're not contacts, it's the color my eyes have always been. And I never really paid attention to my eyes, because I was just like, whatever, they're my eyes, who gives a fuck, right? I didn't realize that green eyes were actually something special. But when I was younger, they were different, and I didn't like that. Like, I wanted to be like everyone else when I was younger. So fast forward, as I'm growing up, my parents owned a business called JW Discount Linen. Now, what spawned all this is my mom is obviously dying of cancer. And she had made these photo albums for me, which I'm going to be putting up photos here and there during this, that were all the family photos she wanted to pass on before she passed away. She did this a couple of years ago, though, after she had her breast cancer the first time. And I was going through them and thinking about all these points in my life as I was coming to terms with like what was going on with her, with now, stuff like that. And I just wanted to get the kind of whole story out there, because I was like, people don't really know my whole backstory. Like, they think the hair is something new. I'm going through like a midlife crisis. I'm like, actually, it's more of like me returning to the real me and getting rid of the bodybuilder character that I had become, that I thought was what I wanted to be. And it was great, and I loved it, and it served its purpose. But there became a time where that bodybuilder was time to go. Like, it was time for that bodybuilder and the ego that came with it to go. Now, with that business that my parents had, we used to go to a flea market, and we'd actually set up a stand at the flea market. So we had the business, we'd sell more things on the flea market on the weekends. And at this flea market, it was called the Big Top Flea Market in Providence, Rhode Island. And my dad would set up there, and I would walk around this flea market at like 11 years old. I'd walk around this flea market, and I would just look at the different things and stuff, and I came upon this one stand that was like a heavy metal stand. Like they had like Slayer t-shirts and shit, like the pins that you put on your jean jacket, the patches you put on the back. And two guys worked there, Ray and Kenny. And I don't remember Ray's last name, but Kenny Eamon was the guy's name that I'm going to be talking about right now. So Kenny, I came by and I thought this guy's cool because they had all these girls, and I was just like kind of realizing girls are really cool. Like it's cool to hang out with girls, and they're not just like people. They're more than people. I was kind of going towards that puberty thing, and I was like, man, these guys have all the girls. Like, what do they do to get all these girls? Like, how do they get these girls to talk to them and like them? And it was like the heavy metal thing. So I'm like, that's it. That must be it. Like they're into heavy metal. So I was kind of looking at it, and I bought this little Slayer pin, and I put it on I got a jean jacket, I put the Slayer pin on my jean jacket, I bought a back patch, I had my mom sew the back patch on, and then I started talking to these guys, saw them every week, so they got to know me, and they call me Jay. Instead of Jerry, they call me Jay. And I started talking to Kenny, and he just kind of took a liking to me and was just like, saying the music and stuff, and I was like, I really like Metallica. Like, I'm into Metallica. My cousin likes it, and my cousin Christopher first introduced me to AC/DC, Led Zeppelin, Metallica, all these different bands. And I'm like, I really like the Metallica band. And he was like, the Metallica band, huh? So he played in a band called Night Reaper, right? So fast forward, I asked my parents for Christmas one year, I want a bass guitar because Kenny played bass. I get this bass, I go to the flea market, I'm 11. And I start, he's teaching me how to just use one finger on the thing, right? On the, on the string, how to just pluck the strings. So he told me to practice, and I come home. Eventually, I was playing that bass within a couple of months. Like, without even knowing what notes I'm playing, by hearing things, I could play it. He was like, God damn, it's pretty good. So now I'm sitting here playing this bass or whatever, and I decide, fuck it, I'm 11. I tell my parents I want to grow my hair out and stuff, and they were like, as long as you're not hurting anybody, my parents are always cool with letting me be me and finding my own way, as long as I wasn't fucking up and hurting someone. So I got my hair starting to grow out and learn how to play this bass, and I wind up, by the time I'm 12 years old, playing in this little garage band with some of my friends from school. And like one of the kids was a drummer, he was in the school band, and a couple of the other kids played guitar, and one of the guys sang. So we had this garage band that was really awful, but the drummer's parents let us play there, and it was something really cool that by the time I was 13 years old, I was approached by one individual in school. His name is Brian DeFusco. We're still friends to this day. And they had a group called the Opposing Force was the name of the band. And they were like well known all over my new high school and stuff that I went to. Like this was like, the jocks liked them, like everybody. It was like the headbangers were friends with the jocks. It was crazy because everybody kind of interacted. There were cliques, but they got along. And these guys were 16, 17 years old, 18 years old, and they played in actual like gigs and stuff. They played at school dances. They played on their own. They played in bars and all this shit. So he literally approached me one day in school. He said, "Hey, do you play bass?" He's like, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah, I do." And he said, "Well, we're looking for a bass player. Do you want to come out and hang out and stuff?" I was like, "Cool." So I went that day at 12 years old, at this time, 12 years old, to play with these 17, 18-year-old guys. And they were like, "You're in." So I'm like, cool. So now, of course, I have the long hair. I'm playing bass. Now, this is my backstory. This is what you guys may or may not know about me. 12 years old. I come home and tell my parents, I had my first gig at a bar in East Providence, Rhode Island, at a place called Faces. It's 21 and over. I'm going to be playing there on my birthday when I'm turning 13 years old. So I'm 13 years old. I'm in this fucking bar. My father had to go. I had no choice. Like I had to have a suit. My mom wasn't letting me go without him. I play in this band. And it was the biggest rush ever. I thought it was the greatest thing ever. Right? So I'm 13 years old, playing in clubs, playing at dances, playing all this shit in bars, all this shit at 13 years old. By 14, we're cutting albums. We're actually in a studio cutting albums in a major studio, which was, I look back and I'm thinking to myself, you were doing all this by 14 fucking years old. The long hair, Metallica, that's what I was into. It was my thing. It was all I lived for, right? And even as I got through, 15, I was still sort of playing, but kind of phasing out. Because now what I was noticing was, the jocks were getting the girls and things were a bit different where I was at, right? And I was like, it's kind of interesting. Like I kind of, was tired of being small and skinny and getting beat up. And, I was like, I just wanted to take care of myself. So my cousin Christopher made me lift weights with him. I still had the long hair when I got suspended from school, forced me down into to lift the weights and stuff. And I got bit by the iron bug. That was it. I had never pulled my hair back in a ponytail once ever in my entire life till I started lifting weights. And I pulled my hair back and I fucking started cutting my sweat up and shit. And I was trying to gain weight and stuff. And I realized that all the other bodybuilders that I had seen, none of them had long hair. Because this was in the 90s, not the 80s, right? So all of them had like short hair. And I said, well, there's a reason for it. When I look at them, their heads were symmetrical when they were shaved. The longer hair, like, thicker fro-like hair, and wavy and sticking up and stuff. It didn't look right with the physique. So I was playing football, I was doing bodybuilding, the fucking hair came off, right? So I had like a short haircut, a clipped haircut. Well, that went on till my senior year in high school, and then I shaved my head the first time. We were the Warren Redskins, and I shaved a mohawk first as for the one of the Redskins, then shaved that shit off totally. I had like the part shaved in the side and stuff. And that was my senior year in high school. And at this point, I was still into Metallica, right? But I was kind of getting into these other, bands and music I saw, because I was competing in bodybuilding at the time. By the time I was a senior, on stage in the ANBC, and I was looking different music and stuff, and I was changing. I was now into Pearl Jam and stuff like that. Like that's what was going on back in the day. And next thing you know, I go to see this movie with my girlfriend before ex-girl. Well, we were splitting because I was going away to college. We see The Program, and I see Latimer's hair, and I see he's a big motherfucker with long hair. I was like, wait a minute, that actually looks cool. So, like, as long as I pull it back the right way, I think I can have long hair and be, like, a competitor. Like, that's cool. I'll do that, right? So I start growing my hair out again now. I come back home from college. I let that shit grow. And I just said, fuck it. Like, I'm going to have my hair and pull back the way it is, whatever. And, I wasn't competing at the time. I got back from college. I decided I wanted to compete again. And I said, well, the long hair, the people that were around me telling me that the long hair doesn't look that good, they didn't like it. It was like more of like a biker look, a headbanger look. They didn't really like it. So the bodybuilders I was hanging out with were like, look, you got to cut your hair, man, if you're going to compete. You're just not going to do well. Like, they kept telling me the haircut was going to be important. So I did. I cut it all. Like, I had it all long on the top of the sides, and I shaved all underneath and cut it in the back. So it was like a slick back fucking like bowl cut, pretty much, that I had. And like the Zach Morris haircut from fucking Saved by the Bell. Now, that's after I was out of high school. But the whole time I was in high school, I had shorter hair, from sophomore year on. Grew my hair back out like Latimer when I got back from college, cut it off again. And then I got second place in the show with my hair with that bowl cut. So I was like, fuck, maybe it's the haircut. I should have been leaner. So the next show I did a few weeks later, I cut all my hair off back to like a spiked fucking deal again. So at that one, there was more competitors and I placed better in it. I didn't win, but I placed better in that over more competitors. And I was like, fuck, it was the haircut. So literally I felt like the shorter my hair was, the bigger I looked. Because I was so small. I was in $145, $155. That I felt like the longer my hair was, the smaller I looked. And I was all about being bigger. I was so small my whole life, I just wanted to be big. Because now I got respect. Now I had people respecting and fearing me because I was getting bigger and stronger. Like, things were changing for me. Now, fast forward, I start doing the steroids. I keep competing. And at that point, I was like, it's better off if I'm going to be competing to have the short hair. And I kept my hair short until I got spotted by, her name was Melissa. Nitro Girl Spice was her name from WCW, and said, you look just like Buff Bagwell. At this point, I could finally grow a goatee. And I was like, well, I got to keep the haircut short because now I'm a wrestler. I have this look the whole time, right? So now I have this wrestling look the whole fucking time. Now, as I'm wrestling, I'm getting tired of being compared to Buff Bagwell and telling everybody people I look like. I want to be myself. I shaved that shit bald again. I just go completely bald. Clipped all that fucking shit off. I'm wearing like a fucking bandana. I'm looking like this total fucking thug. And that was kind of my new gimmick towards the end of my wrestling career. And at that point, I kind of shaved my head for a while. I let it grow a little bit. And then fast forward to where it was starting to get thin in the back, which I didn't even know until my girlfriend at the time had pointed out, like, your hair's getting thin. I was like, really? Fuck that. I just buzzed that fucker off. So, like, you couldn't even really tell unless you're, like, looking up close at my head. I buzzed all that shit right off, and I kept it bald until about 2012. I grew a faux hawk. And I grew the faux hawk for a little while, and I cut my hair myself. I got a bad haircut in high school when I first cut my long hair off, and I vowed that no one would ever touch my head again. I bought a pair of clippers with all the attachments and taught myself how to cut my own hair. Had a few bad haircuts in the process, but I taught myself. To this day, I haven't had a haircut since I was about 14 years old. I've always cut it myself. And I was trimming my hair, getting ready to go to Mexico with Carrie when I was dating Carrie. And I kind of was shaving it. All of a sudden, I was fucking so high with the trimming that I looked like fucking Bert and Ernie. I had like this pineapple on my head. I was like, fuck. So I shaved it, and that was it. 2012 was the fucking last time I had hair. And now this went on until the bald head, the shaving thing. So you guys just know me from that point on. 2011, I had the bald head. I let it grow out for a little bit with the faux hawk, and then I was bald from 2012 to 2019. And so you guys have only known that. So it appeared to you guys that, well, Jerry, what the fuck is going on? Jerry's in a midlife crisis. Jerry learned that when he became a bodybuilder, I should say not Jerry, that fucking sounds stupid. I learned that when I became a bodybuilder, I became so focused and so obsessed with bodybuilding and being a bodybuilder that I didn't even know who I was anymore. I was creating this new person because, of course, the molestation, the fighting, the beatings that I took and stuff, that all went away. People were scared of me. I was walking around 270 plus pounds. People didn't want anything, even though I couldn't fight my way out of a wet paper bag at that size. As a bouncer, I could fucking throw people across the room. I could literally pick them up and toss them across the fucking room. And that shit scares the fuck out of people when you're looking at 21-year-olds, 23-year-olds. You know what I mean? Like, if someone fucking hit me, I didn't even feel it. My face is so fucking bloated and puffy. Somebody would crack me and I'd be like, would shake it off. You know, to this day, my nose has never been broken. I've been punched in the nose so many fucking times, it never broke. My face was so puffy, it absorbed the impact, I guess. So at this point, I like that power that I feel. I like that way of being safe that, you know, even if somebody wants to fuck with you, you're so strong that you can hurt them really quick, and they're hitting you and you're not even feeling it, right? This is before guns and knives and all this bullshit, right? It was just fist fights back in the day. So I just kind of like completely lost who I was in this lifestyle of being this. To me, I felt like I was a superhero to myself. Like that Jerry bodybuilder that I became, it wasn't just about competing. It was about living a life that was like protecting the little Jerry inside, right? The Jerry who I really was inside. And then when I started steroids and stuff, my hair started to get thin. And that's when I shaved it all off and said, fuck it, I'm never growing it again. And I kept shaving, whatever. And then I didn't shave for a couple of days. And it was the Game of Thrones thing. I was watching Game of Thrones late one night for about a week, trying to catch up with the episodes so I could watch new episodes with Aaron. And I didn't shave, and I had like a little bit of a beard growing. My hair was growing back. Like, I didn't shave my arms and stuff. I don't shave my arms and shit anymore, but I didn't shave my arms. And my wife thought I was depressed. She actually stopped me and said, hey, I don't want to talk to you. I think, you know, you're depressed. I'm like, what? Because you're not shaving your head. You're not taking care of yourself. I'm like, babe, I've been fucking sleeping. I've been like staying up late and sleeping late and fucking just not having time because I'm trying to watch Game of Thrones and do it with you and spend time with you doing that. You know, and then she just kind of laughed at it. But I was like, look, there's a lot of hair left up there. And she just kind of laughed. Like, no, there's not. And I was like, because now I know it was gray. You couldn't really see a lot of it unless you really looked. So I was like, you know, I kind of sat back and forth and said, you know, I wonder how much hair is actually left up there. And I was like, I really would like to have hair back. At this point, I was kind of getting sick of people comparing me to The Rock. And it was a constant thing. And it was like, after I got the tattoos, it was like, oh, you look like The Rock. I'm like, look, I got complete fucking sleeves and shit. My hands, like, everything is fucking done. Like, I'm not trying to be The Rock. I'm trying to be what I feel like I want to look like. And I wasn't really realizing that the bald head, I'd look in the mirror and it really wasn't me anymore. It was me when I was with Primeval. It was me when I was with 5%. When I started GIFT Labs and I stopped competing, I really looked at myself and said, who the fuck are you? Like, I don't even look like myself. I'm like this fucking bald, dark-skinned fucking dude that, you know, everybody thinks looks like the fucking Rock. But, like, that's cool because The Rock's a good-looking dude, but I don't want to be The Rock. I want to be Jerry. Like, I'm losing my identity to being this bodybuilder, Rock wannabe lookalike. Like, that's not fucking cool. Like, that's not who I really am. Although he's inspirational, I'm a big fan of his, I don't want to look like him. Like, imagine meeting him face-to-face and being like, what the fuck? What is wrong with you, you copycat motherfucker? Like, that's not what I wanted in my life, you know? And I said, you know, I'm going to grow my hair out. And I remember Erin being like, and she was like, okay, pal. And I was like, challenge accepted. I'm like, whatever. So I started using Rogaine while I was shaving my head. And I was fucking rubbing that shit in my head. We went down to Mexico and I bought something called Finasteride, which is like a pill that actually helps your hair stop from falling out. But the longer you run it, it grows your hair back thicker again. So now I'm like, okay, well, I'll do the minoxidil, which is the Rogaine stuff, the Finasteride, and I'm like doing more research and like, hey, you can use this shampoo, that DHT shampoo that you fucking wash in your hair and a conditioner, and that'll help your hair from falling out and help thicken it and fucking let it grow back. And I'm like, and I'm thinking like, oh, this shit may not work, but I'm gonna give it a try. What the fuck? So next thing you know, I'm wearing a hat for a while, I'm letting the hair grow out, and the longer it gets, the thicker it gets because it's the longer I'm on these medications and shampoos and shit. So now, the hair thickening products worked. A lot of my hair, like my hairline still is a little bit high on both sides over here, which when I was younger it was low, and I had a little more of like this widow's peak thing down here when I was younger. But a lot of it's actually grown back, which Johnny Bravo told me that would happen. Johnny Bravo told me the longer you're on that Finasteride, these little baby hairs grow where your hairline is, and then it fucking grows back, but you gotta stay on it like a year and a half or something like that. Well, we're coming up on a year now that I was taking the Finasteride. So as my hair gets longer and stuff, I'm, you know, and people are asking questions like, what the fuck, like, what's going on? And I'm like, it really was that I lost myself for a number of years, like fucking decade or 2 decades. I guess since I was like 15, 16 years old, all the way to 43, I had lost myself. Like, there was a part of me that was inside that I was just suppressing because that little kid in me felt like he was, you know, beat up and he was made fun of and he was picked on and he was small and he was all these things even though in my heart I was still the same person. Like I still had the same personality, but because I was timid because of what was going on in my life and stuff, I was very self-conscious and aware that like I can get my ass kicked from anybody around here, right? And I was like, I didn't want that to happen. Now I'm like, look, who the fuck? I mean, it doesn't matter if somebody wants to beat me up now, fucking beat me up. You're not gonna hit me any fucking harder than the people that have already hit me in my fucking life, and you can't hurt me any more than I've been hurt with fucking addiction. No punch in the face or anything hurts more than withdrawals. That's just all there is to it. So I'm like, I'm going through in my head, I'm like, where the fuck am I? Like, who am I? And I really had to do some soul searching to find myself again. And what I noticed was, anytime I was like upset or something and I'd go to the gym and train, I would revert right back to Metallica. Metallica was the instant fucking band that I would go to. Any song. Didn't matter what it was. I'd have a whole playlist of just Metallica, just Megadeth, right? These bands that I listened to. And I was like, well, what the fuck? That's what I used to listen to when I was a kid. You know what I mean? And I started thinking about it. I was like, well, if, when I was shaving my head, I'm like, if you're bald, you're bald. But if you have hair, do you want hair? How, like, when you look in the mirror, what do you see? And I was like, man, when I look in the mirror, like, what do I see? I see somebody with hair. I see somebody with hair and a beard. Like, that's kind of how my dad looked. Like, my dad had dark hair and, he had a beard. And, like, I see my dad a lot now. When I look in the mirror, I see my dad a lot. And I said, you know what? Like, this is just, I don't feel right with the bald head anymore. The dark skin, like, I just don't feel right. I don't feel like I look like me anymore. It was really a struggle within of coming to terms with, my new spirituality, you know what I mean? As well as letting go of the bodybuilding competitions and stuff, being the competitor, letting go of all that stuff that I loved for so long, and I miss it so much to this day. I really do. I honestly do. But I also know that at 44 as of today, it doesn't help me with my life and who I am and moving forward in my future anymore. Like, it's a part of my life, a chapter of my life that was fucking awesome, and I can look back and I really enjoy it and say, you know what, I wish it lasted a little bit longer, but this is the situation where it's at. So where am I at now? I'm an NPC judge. You know what I mean? I'm a Freemason. I'm all these different things now that I wasn't when I was younger, that basically are more of a mature, grown-up version of myself. But that little kid's still inside me and wants to come out. What part of me is the little kid? The little kid of me has always liked long hair, always wanted long hair, always wanted tattoos. I waited to get completely sleeve tattoos till I was done with bodybuilding. Bodybuilding kept me from being, like I told, my tattoo artist, Carly Corpse, you guys know who he is, and my wife, I said, when I was getting tattooed, like, I was putting on my body what I already thought I looked like. I was transforming it to what I wanted to be all along, but I held back for bodybuilding. Bodybuilding dictated whether I got tattooed, how I cut my hair, how I dressed, the things that I ate, the places that I went, the amount of time I slept, what I put in my body, like drug-wise. I mean, everything. It influenced and controlled everything in my life, which I'm not saying that's bad. It's not. It was great, and I loved it. But it came to a point where if you keep holding on to that, when you've grown past that, you're only going to hurt yourself. Rich Piana is a perfect example of that. Rich knew he was hurting himself, and he didn't fucking want to anymore. But he knew that if he dropped muscle mass and stuff like that, people wouldn't look at him the same way. Now, I disagreed with him. I thought that people would still love him for him, and if he dropped weight, it wouldn't matter. But he had in his head he had to be the freak, and he paid that price, and I watched him pay that price. And I look at that, and I go, this shouldn't be in vain. Like, Rich's death should not be in vain. We shouldn't look at that and say, stupid steroid guy. No, we should go, Rich lived life on his terms, and he did it his way, but that's not how I want to do it. Like, I don't want to go out like that, trying to chase something and keeping myself, in this creation that I made to get respect and have people love me. At 44 years old now, I'm Jerry, and I don't fucking care who loves me. I don't care who likes me. I don't care who hates me. I don't care. You know what I mean? Of course, the people around me that are in my life, I care about. But if they're like, Jerry's so crazy, he's so stupid because he did this, I don't care if they think that. You know what I mean? Because there's going to be things that I think that they did or said or whatever I think are crazy. So you learn that, like, what other people think and care about they don't matter. And I went from being that really aggressive guy who was a bouncer and fighting all the time to not wanting to fight at all. What's the point? At 44, when I fucking crack someone, my fucking hand is going to hurt for 3 days if I don't break it. You know what I mean? And, like, let's say fucking the guy doesn't go down in the first shot. Now we're trading punches. My face is going to get fucked up. I'm going to have a headache. I might wind up in the hospital. At 44, you don't want that shit. So now you go, what do I really want? I mean, every day, you just move towards trying to be who you want to be. And I want to be the best person that I can. I want to share my experiences with the world. I want to help as many people as I can all over the world with whether I can, because there wasn't people there to do it for me. You know what I mean? I had to figure it out on my own. I had to find people in general to try to look up to and replicate to move forward. There was nobody there holding me by the hand, giving the information that I give you guys. Like, you guys are getting information that I paid for with blood, sweat, and tears, literal blood, sweat, and tears, my entire life. And so many people get to watch that and are able to make changes in their lives and zig and zag and jump up and down and do whatever they're doing to progress and not make the same mistakes and have the same pitfalls that I had. But that guy with the dark skin and the bald head and the goatee is gone. You know what I mean? He's essentially dead. Will he be back in the future? Who the fuck knows? If that's who I am in the future, that's who I am in the future. I have no fucking idea. But I know right now when I looked in the mirror, I saw a guy that had long hair, had a long beard, didn't have the dark skin anymore. I haven't been tanning in fucking can't tell you how long. And had, the hands and the knuckles tattooed and shit like that. And, it's just a different chapter in my life. But it really is more of, this is a continuation of where I was when I was 14 when I started training. It was like 14, everything went on hold until 43. And then everything changed, or 42, everything changed. So it was like 14 to 43. Everything was on hold to be a bodybuilder, right? Everything was until I figured out what was going on. It was on hold. I was creating this character that really was me, but it wasn't me deep down inside. It was a version of me that I needed to produce ego-wise to keep myself safe from all the other bullshit that was going on and focus and give me something positive to put my energy to. Bodybuilding was the most positive thing in my life. It was always there for me. It kept me out of trouble. It got me out of trouble. Like, it was the only thing in my life that was consistent. We moved a lot of times when I was a kid. We moved all the time because we couldn't afford the different places we were living in. A lot of times we didn't have a lot of food. We always had food. My parents, we had food, but there's a lot of times we didn't have a whole bunch of spare food laying around and stuff like that. Like, we had financial troubles. We didn't always have 2 cars and stuff like that. It was 1 car. Everybody had to fucking share. Stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, which some families don't even have 1 car. So I was lucky enough to have 1 car, But the bottom line is, guys, what you guys see now is, I don't want to say a new and improved Jerry, but you're seeing the new evolution and the new extension, the new chapter of Jerry that is an extension of when he was a kid, extended to now when he's older, not old, but older, wiser, and just enjoying being alive, enjoying making it to 44, enjoying the relationships that, I've built over the last 40 something years, enjoying just being Jerry, just literally enjoying the world, which is something I didn't do. I couldn't do when I was a bodybuilder. I had to be nose to the grindstone all the time. And that's the way it was. It was about as hardcore and intense as you could be for years and years and years. And no, I wasn't the best bodybuilder around. No, a lot of times I sucked. Sometimes I was good, but I wasn't great. But it wasn't for lack of trying. It was something I loved doing. And once you stop doing the thing that you love doing because you can no longer do it anymore, you now have to go, whatever made me do that in the first place is over. It's been 20 something years. So now I have to look at myself in the mirror and go, Jerry the bodybuilder is gone. Now Jerry the fitness enthusiast is here. Jerry the guy who likes to take care of himself, who likes to stay fit and look good. He's not going to step on a stage. I'm not even big as a bodybuilder someday. Who the fuck knows? But I'm not going to step on stage. But it's really one of those things where you have to search deep down inside of you, and only you know the answers to this. And it might fuck people up around you, not know what the fuck you're doing. It doesn't matter what they think. It matters what you think. It matters what you feel. Like, a friend of mine the other day, I think it was my buddy Brooks, gave me this advice. He said, it may sound selfish, but you have to do what's right for you all the time. Plain and simple. Because that's your life. You only have that one life, and you have to do that, whatever it is. You know what I mean? So if it's like someone asks you to go do this, and you feel like you can't do that for whatever reason, you're going to let them down. You have to tell them, listen, I know I'm letting you down. I'm really sorry, but I can't do that because of XYZ. You have to take care of yourself first, or you can't take care of anyone else. And that's what I think 2019 was for me. It was a lot of self exploration and self-care, and coming to terms with the fact that, Jerry the bodybuilder is still in there. He's just not on the outside. But Jerry the metalhead is on the outside. He's still on the inside. And Jerry, the guy who likes Kanye West and wears Yeezys, is on the outside, but still on the inside. So everything is still on the inside, but your outside expression may not always represent what you have on the inside. And that's okay, because times change, people change, styles change, looks change, all that stuff changes. But this is where I'm at now, and it's not a new thing. This is very much an old thing, an old version of me that's got a new twist on it, because the beard I couldn't grow when I was younger. And it's just who I am right now. So I know this has gone on a little bit kind of long, and hopefully you guys are stuck with me at this point. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I hope some of you guys understand what I'm talking about. Some of the older guys may actually understand. But always be you. There's no other reason to be anybody else. Like, no matter what you do, no matter what you say, people are going to judge you anyway. So if you're not being you, you're being judged for not being you. You might as well just fucking be you, because they're going to judge you anyways, no matter what the fuck you do. At least you get to be you. Finasteride@gmail.com. Leave comments down below. But don't fight. Finasteride.com is the blog. It's the Just Be You bicep. And we are out.